So last week, OPEC announced that they are cutting oil production by 2 million barrels a day. And that in the face of President Biden going over there and begging for oil rather than just getting our oil out of the ground. I don't know if many of you remember the State of the Union speech earlier this year that President Biden gave, but part of that speech was that he was going to make it in America. Sounds eerily familiar to something that the last administration promoted. But his great idea, his original idea that I guess he thinks he had, is that we're going to actually use American ingenuity, American resources, and American people to produce the things that we need, like oil and gas. Well, nope, we're not going to make that in America. We're going to go beg countries around the world, beg our enemies pretty much, and compromise, like we're doing with Venezuela, to get more oil. They've also announced another release from the SPR. I think we're at 1984 or some odd levels at the SPR. And I just want to remind you folks that the purpose of the SPR is so that we don't have to be dependent on foreign countries in the case of a worldwide crisis, that we have our own source of oil. But I guess that doesn't really matter since we're going green and we don't really need oil to fuel any of our military equipment. Let's just say we can use that green fleet that we have, right? That doesn't exist. That is sarcasm in case you didn't catch that. So we're not going to make oil and gas here. And we're not going to make the solar panels that they want you to put on your house. We're going to get those from China. What about the lithium for all of the batteries for the EV that's going to be in every driveway by, I don't know, what is it? California says 2035. They're not going to sell any more gas cars. Well, it's just insanity. Well, what about the CHIPS Act? Let's get the government involved. Let's get the government to pay companies to make chips here. Well, that's fine and good. You have Micron that announced that they're building a plant in New York, of all places, of all business unfriendly places. And the CHIPS Act is going to put $52 billion into these companies to try to get them to make it in America. Well, if the business environment was such in America that it was profitable for companies to make it in America without taking handouts from the government, then they would already be doing that in a capitalistic society. But nope, the government's got to get their hands involved in it, and you can assure that they're going to mess that up too. And then they're going to go into New York, so they're going to give them money to come here and make these things, but then they're going to force them to pay a minimum wage that is much, much higher than what these companies would pay to have them manufactured in China. So it just doesn't work. You can't just continue to spend money and spend money and spend money. Eventually, it's going to catch up with you.